Frost, Chairperson of the Metropolitan Utilities District Board of Directors, and I'd like to welcome you all to the committee meetings this morning, August 3rd, 2022. This meeting is being live streamed from the boardroom at the M.U.D. headquarters building located at 7350 World Communications Drive, and a recording of this meeting will be uploaded to the M.U.D. website after the meeting's conclusion. Safety briefing. I'd like to invite our Vice President of Safety and Security, Shane Hunter, to provide a briefing regarding protocol for all individuals in attendance at the board meeting today in the event of an emergency. Roll call.
Good morning. Shane Hunter, Vice President of Safety and Security. We are on the first floor here at the M.U.D. boardroom, and normal entry and exit is through the rear of the room where we entered this morning. There is also an alternate exit here. It's important to note that on the other side of this door we'll find the nearest fire extinguisher, first aid kit, and AED. With the location of the AED in mind, can I have a show of hands of who's AED and CPR trained in the room? Thank you. Should there be a medical emergency today, 911 will be contacted by security personnel at the front desk, who will then escort them upon their arrival into this space for medical treatment. The severe weather season is upon us, although none is expected today. The severe weather shelter is also in this same hallway right outside this door. If for any reason we need to evacuate this space in this building, we'll go through the same door, take 2 lefts, reconvene in the parking garage where we'll conduct an accountability and roll call. That concludes the safety briefing.
Okay, roll call.
Cook.
Here.
Friend.
Here.
Frost.
Here.
McGowan.
Here.
Howard.
Here.
Kavanaugh.
Here.
Bigley.
Here. Open Meetings Act. I would like to advise all those in attendance that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available on the wall in the back of the boardroom. Construction and operations. Construction and operations.
Good morning. Gina Langle, Senior Vice President and Chief Operations Officer. Behind tab 5 is our capital expenditures letter. It's a shorter letter today, so I'll only be covering a couple of the items that are on there. But as you can see under systems improvement, there's only one item that's there right now, and it is in subdivision 5 as shown on this map here, and it is a relocation. Under buildings, plants, and equipment, I'd like to talk about item number 1 for $168,000. It's increasing the CNG filling capacities of the public fill station north of the construction gate, and we'll also be adding a dispenser there for our fleet fueling. And I believe John Zellers will be talking about this when he gets to the bid letter as well. You may recall we've talked about this a couple of times in the past. With the closing of the I-80 CNG fuel station, we've lost the ability to fill large vehicles. And due to site constraints, it has caused us to have to make some changes in that location. The North Gate CNG station was modified just recently to serve these larger vehicles, especially in the winter. When the station was built, it was equipped with just one CNG supply line, and that makes the fueling at the North Gate a long process for these. So you can look at, if you take a look at the picture that is up right now, the red line that begins kind of in the bottom and works its way up, that is where we have a conduit that we have in there that we've bored in that came to the board previously. We will be installing 2 other fill lines that will go through there. And then from that building, you can also see there's another red line that goes through there, and down there at the bottom, we'll be installing another dispenser that we'll be able to use to fill our fleets as we get more CNG vehicles going forward, and it also will help us right now. It'll help with us to be able to get through there relatively quickly. This project is the final part of our modifications that were being done to this station, and we expect this to be completed here by the end of this summer. The next item I'd like to talk about is on page 2. It is item number 2. It's the Cornhusker Station Replacement Procurement Project. This is for $555,000. The existing Cornhusker pump station is located south of Cornhusker, just west of Fort Crook Road, and there's a drawing that's up that shows you the blue part is right now where that pump station is located, and we will be moving it over to where the red part of that is. And Jay, if you could go to the next slide for me, that would help, please. Thank you. This is what it looks like right now, where you can see right there against the street, that is the pump station at the location that we have now. And in the back, toward the back of this picture on the right-hand side, you'll see some cones. That's where we're going to be going to. We'll have the slides going through to kind of give you some pictures of what the actual condition of this is as I talk through this. The pump station was installed in 1972, and since then, Cornhusker has been widened, making the pump station dangerously close to the curb line. It also allows snow and salt to pile on the lid and rainwater to collect near the station, leading to significant structural and electrical degradation. The location is a safety concern. When district staff is performing maintenance on the station, it is very, very close to a busy street. During the evaluation of the existing pump station, the costs and the safety were taken into account, and the costs from the structural and electrical repairs and for other parts of the pump station, it was determined that it was more cost-effective and safer to replace the pump station. This will allow the pump station to be placed in that protected area that we showed, and the pump station was studied in our long-range master planning, and using the hydraulic optimization model, has been verified that it's needed for current and future pumping in the area. This particular CNA is just to get the materials for this. We will be coming back to the Board of Directors in 2023 for the installation of the pump station for authorization for that. But due to long lead times, we are going to order everything now. It also includes a 20-inch valve and vault for relocation purposes in here as well. That is all I have for today. Are there any questions?
Gina, just a quick question. One of the slides you showed the piping and everything, and really rusting and everything. Is that all going to be replaced as part of this or cleaned up then?
Yes, we have. It's like a pre-canned pump station that we'll have, so it's all new that will be put over into the safer location. So yes, it's to order all of that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
2, Water Supply Engineer James Bartels will review the amendment to the professional engineering services for the Water System Master Plan.
Morning, James Bartels, Water Supply Engineer. Behind tab 6, you'll find documents related to the amendment number 1 for the Water System Master Plan. The district entered into an agreement with HDR back in December of 2020 for the professional engineering services for the master plan. Last month, that completed master plan was presented to the board. This amendment to the master plan is for $67,570, which is a little less than 10% of the original amount. The amendment's broken down into 3 separate tasks. Task 1100 is basically HDR's subconsultant rerunning different scenarios. Task 1300 is subdivided into 3 small studies. The first 2 items are reviewing ways to reduce, perhaps delay, and maybe possibly avoid some future capital improvements. The third item is evaluating the impact of a potential development. And then finally, task 1400 is a near-term operation and maintenance prioritization of our pump stations, repump stations. There was groundwork completed with the master plan, but this will take that much further. We're trying to address and make sure we have the highest priorities for the overall system, and then we'll get some budget estimates for those and then incorporate that into our 5-year budget. Again, everything was $67,570. Any specific questions that I can help? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Director of Plant Engineering, Stephanie Henn, acceptance of contracts and payment of final estimates.
Good morning. Stephanie Hinn, Director of Engineering.
Better? There we go. I will be addressing the finals letter this morning behind tab number 7. Straightforward letter this month, 4 finals on there, 1 water development project, 2 gas infrastructure projects, and 1 plant project. I'd like to touch on item A for just a minute. That's a water development project. There was a change order associated with this one, and as we've been talking about with the supply chain, this one was some additional costs due to the supply chain, mostly due to increased pipe costs. So approving this final also approves this corresponding change order. Also like to touch on item D. This was a new fence that was installed at our operations and construction centers and also at our LNG plant. This was approximately an $850,000 expenditure, and this project was completed for our safety and security department. This new 8-foot fence now enhances the security at these facilities. I'd be glad to take any questions you might have. Great, thank you. And while I'm up here, last month when I was unable to attend, there were some questions about the West Dodge pump station. So we thought we would show you just a couple of pictures if you wanted to see where we were at. Let's see. There, it should be coming up. Great. The West Dodge pump station is located at 153rd and West Dodge Road. This is just on the south side of West Dodge Road. We broke ground about the 1st of May, so we're a couple months in, and we're expecting completion by about the end of May of 2023. So we should be set to go for high pumpage for next year, for 2023. Here you can see the building footprint. You can see the footings that have been poured. This is a Hawkins construction project, so you can see their logo there. This is kind of farther back, so you can see the footprint, and we are looking west. So there's my mouse, if you can see that. If you would go, whoops, Jay, can you go back one? Sorry. Thank you. If you go just off to the screen to the right would be West Dodge Road over here, and Baker's grocery store would be right back here. We're looking west, so this is Lifegate Church. You can picture that. And right behind us, like to the left of this picture, is a set of apartments. Here's a little bit closer up picture of this. You can see the footings here closer up, which will, all the footings are where the walls are going to be. You can also see the piping coming up out of the ground. This is actually on the left side of your screen. Here we are looking south. So on the left side of your screen, which is to the east, you can see the suction piping. You can kind of see my mouth, which suction piping just means that's the piping that's coming into the building, water coming into the building. And then over here, closer to the right side, we have discharge piping, which is the water going out of the building. And then I'll show you a picture here just in a minute. Let's go to the next one. Here you can see a little bit closer up of that. Pardon me. This framing right here are for the pump pads. So ultimately the pumps, all 4 pumps are going to sit right along here. And you'll see another picture of that here when they're complete. This picture is almost hot off the presses. We took it 2 days ago on Monday afternoon on August 1st. Here you can see now we are looking north. So West Dodge Road is all along back here. Again, Baker's grocery store would be sitting right about back here. Here, this is the new piping. This is the discharge piping. So that's the piping that's going out of the building. These are those new pump pads that you saw that they were framed up for before and hadn't poured yet. Now they're completely poured and the framing has been removed. And you can also see, as of Monday afternoon, we were just starting to build the first wall. So we were about 5 blocks up from the ground for the first wall. And so this would be the west wall. So if we were looking, if you could continue and look this way, you would see Lifegate Church. And then just to remind you what it's going to look like when it's all complete, here's a rendering of what the West Dodge pump station will look like when it's all done. And again, that should be right around the end of May of 2023, barring any big things that happen. Any questions?
I have one. When the intake to the water pumping and the outtake, what's the difference in pressure? Or how much does it increase the pressure and pump into the discharge?
Great question. I think I'm going to phone a friend on that. James still in here? Mike?
So it's oh, sorry. Mike Koenig, Vice President of Water Operations. So what we're doing is we're pumping water from the Zone 2 into the Zone 3. So pressure-wise, depending on where you are elevation, through those pipes that were shown on the screen, you're probably seeing 40 or 50 psi difference through there, and getting that flow into that Zone 3 so that it can be used by the customer. So. Depends on what the usage is. So I'm not giving you a real straight answer because it really depends on the situation in the day. So.
And with the hot weather we've had here in the past few days and everything, and the press release about watching your water, how is our system held up in the northwest part of Omaha that this pump station is needed for?
Yeah, it's held up pretty well. I mean, but we are using almost every pump that we have in the system during those peak 2 hours on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So once we get this pump station in play, that will allow us to kind of go in, back ourselves more into where those other stations are designed to run. It will take less stress or take a little bit of the stress off of some of those other facilities. We'll be able to, more adequately boost pressure out on the fringes, way out on our 204th and Rainwood, North Elkhorn customers, some of those that are, seeing a little bit of a pressure dip, for instances like Monday morning. So.
But so far we've been able to meet all demand. We've had no curtailment.
That's correct. We've been able to meet demand. Our pressures have fallen, down into the 30 psi range Monday morning. So, that's lower than what we like to provide as our level of service, but it's still adequate to provide our the fire flows and the sprinkler demand that we're trying to capture.
Okay, one last question, Mike. On the north side of Dodge, I see a lot of work and activity, digging and everything. I know we bore the pipe underneath Dodge, and that was an amazing project. So are they doing work on the north side of Dodge to complete the project, the connections?
I could volley back over to Stephanie on that, because she would be able to give you a more complete answer.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
Actually, I can show you a picture. Jay, could you bring that presentation back up, and the way last picture? I put one in here just in case that question came up. Right there. Let's see if... There we go. Let's wait till that piece gets off the top of the screen there. There we go. If you can see right here, where's my mouse? Jay, do I have control of the mouse, please? Don't believe I do. Well, we'll just talk about this picture here. Oh, there's my mouse. There we go. If you can see that. So here's the pump station site. Here is West Dodge Road, and here is 156th Street. So here, Mr. McGowan, this is that bore under Dodge Street that you were talking about, the red line that goes under Dodge, and then as a related project, but not part of the pump station project. We have another contractor. So Hawkins is doing the pump station. We have Judd's Brothers doing the piping, the large piping around here. So they did this bore under here. Then the pipe will go along here, kind of along this ramp, getting off of 156th Street, and then it ties back in. This right here is close to the Texas Roadhouse up there. And then this also does go the other way. So here's, again, here is starting at the pump station. We're going back to the east along West Dodge Road. And if you know the new West Farm area, now it's called Heartwood Preserve, where Boys Town used to be, the old Boys Town land, comes back this way and ties in back here at about 150th Street. And so once that is all tied in, all this piping needs to be completed before we can actually pressure test and everything, the pump station, so we have enough supply coming in and going out in order to do all of our testing.
I'd like to compliment your staff and all the construction employees that have worked on this project, because I live in that area, and I drive down Dodge Street all the time, and I was amazed at how you can bore under Dodge and not tear up the streets and have all the traffic interrupted and everything. And to have that bore done, I saw parts of it being done from the north side to the south side. It's an amazing job, and the work they're doing right now is still amazing, but they're not disrupting traffic in that critical area. And they're doing a great job. I just want to say thank you.
Oh, thanks. We appreciate that, and I will share that with the rest of the group.
I have a question. On a pump station, is there anything other than pumping that goes on? In other words, there's no further water treatment, there's no further disinfectant. Is there any testing that takes place at any of the pump stations?
There isn't disinfectant. Mike, is there any testing that goes on? We'll just volley this back and forth.
So, yes, to back Stephanie up there, as far as treatment, there isn't any further treatment done, no boosting of disinfectant or anything, but we do test, pH, temperature, the residual that we're seeing through the system. So we're checking on that. There are a few other parameters that we'll be adding in the future at those, alkalinity, some of those that kind of give us a little bit of a feel for how our water quality is doing in the system.
I see, thanks. I always wondered that, whether it was tested further once it left the treatment facility till it gets to your faucet. I'm sure along the way you probably have places where you sample and test to make sure nothing has interfered with the delivery system.
That is correct, and we take that opportunity at each of our repump stations as well as other facilities.
Okay, thanks.
Mike, stay up there. Mike? I'm not sure if this is for you or Stephanie, but I assume this is will be an unmanned station and the controls will be controlled through the SCADA system?
That's correct. It will be unmanned. We'll see it through our SCADA system at systems control, and we will visit it, throughout the day with our shift foreman. We'll go in and do a kind of a wellness check of the building to make sure everything is looking good.
Thank you.
Very good.
I'd like to add a few comments, or maybe not, but the topic of the press release came up. If there's any questions or we want to have any open discussion about that, if we ever went into curtailment, that's a big deal, and you would know about that, and I would be. We aren't even close to that. But over the last couple weeks, I think last week, midweek, I think it was last week, where we tied a record of pumpage for 1 hour. Is that right, Mike? It was Monday. Okay. 388 million gallons a day would be the pumpage if you pumped like that for 24 hours. So that happened in 2012, and it could and will likely happen again. We thought that's a responsible approach to not only lowering the risk on our system for mechanical purposes, but also for fire flows. That's always paramount that we pay attention to that. And the public is very receptive to that. I get hit in the grocery store. Every time we do something, I get hit in my and everybody that talked to me thought that was good. And then they asked me questions about how do we change our irrigation systems if we have one and those sort of things. We're going to work a lot harder on that in the future because, we got to go back to when we built Platte West. It turns out that that's a reliability plant, and I'm glad we have it. We're fortunate to have it. But this particular issue, which we're building the West Dodge pump station for, is primarily an irrigation issue. If we're able to change behaviors, I'm not saying we don't need that pump station, but we're going to have a lot more analysis in the future before we add one and where we add one. We have to be very careful about expending capital for irrigation. Times will change. We will have low water grasses, long after I'm here on this table or on this earth. Things will change. This is why we think it's okay to talk about extending our water system, our public water system, to other communities. We'll never do that without good discussion and making sure that we're on the same page with this board of directors. But what we're talking about here is primarily an irrigation system on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I think it's very important that we all know that, and I push back pretty hard on the pump station internally, but I agree that it's time and we need it.
And you know, Mark, I have to admit, I never knew until several meetings ago that Monday, Wednesday, Friday watering your lawns creates such a burden on the system. And of course, I was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And
Sure.
She went and changed it now where I go Tuesday, Thursday, and maybe Saturday, I don't know. But I'm not watering. I am so conscious not to do it on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday because of what I learned here. Now, having said that, I know people that get new water systems installed at their house. And the contractor automatically programs Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Are we working with those contractors
Yes.
to change that?
We just had a lot of discussion this week, and it isn't the first time we're talking about it. What's the best approach to that? It's not, in my opinion, it's not that that's how they show up, and they don't reprogram it, likely. But yes, we're going to work much harder on that in the future. And as we get into subsequent years, and it makes a pump station like this even more effective. And our ability to move water around is even better. So I just want to, but I do want to highlight the fact that it is an irrigation problem, and that's okay. I mean, that's a philosophical discussion that we all need to keep having. We're going to work much harder on that. We have some ideas. How do you do it? Do you incent people to change, or do you incent people to let us take a look at it, whether they change or not? Those types of things. So any ideas you have on that's great. And we think, we'll set some goals we've talked about this. We'll set some goals if we can move, I'm just spitballing, Mike, and you can correct me, but if we would move 10 million gallons a day off peak because we change behaviors, that would be a big deal. And it's doable. But it does require changing behaviors, and people are receptive to it. It's just the average homeowner that has a sprinkler system doesn't just walk down into the garage and say, okay, I'm done. It's that simple for some. It's not that
being
simple.
a board member, I didn't know it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, but I want to compliment all the employees at M.U.D, especially the construction people and the operations people, for operating the system and meeting the demand in this hot weather. It's been a great job, and I appreciate that.
That's a lot attributed to Mike and his folks, so thanks. Thank you.
Thank you for that update.
4, Vice President of Procurement and Enterprise Services, John Zellers, will now review the bids on materials and contracts.
Good morning. John Zellers, Vice President, Procurement and Enterprise Services. Bids on materials and contracts may be found under tab 8. There are 4 items that I would like to discuss this morning, and they may all be found on page 2. The first item is at the top of the page. We solicited for and received a single bid from Probe Alternative Fuel Services to perform work on the CNG fill station Ms. Langle spoke about earlier. Probe Alternative Fuel Services has been the district trusted compressed natural gas specialist since 2011 and has over 35 years experience in the CNG industry. They supported us with the I-80 CNG fuel system and performed CNG related work for us through a maintenance agreement. Probe, I have Ford on the brain, so I'll be talking about that later. Probe Alternative Fuel Services has a proven track record in providing good support and service for our CNG facilities, and we recommend that their bid is approved. The next item, we accepted bids for the Florence Primary Basin Cathodic Protection Replacement Project. We are recommending the rejection of both bids as they exceed budget. The project will be budgeted again in 2023 and rebid at that time. The next item may be found in the middle of the page. The board may recall approving 29 Ford Transit vans in January for use by field services. Upon approval, a PO was issued to Anderson Ford utilizing pricing under a state of Nebraska contract. The PO was in the amount of $1,100,927. In May, we were informed that Ford canceled production of all outstanding 2022 orders, and only 5 of the 29 vans would be built at the original price of $37,963 per van. In July, we were informed that Ford opened the ordering of 2023 model vans and would make it priority to build previously canceled 2022 orders, though not guaranteeing all orders will be filled due to the continued supply chain challenges in the auto industry. The 24 canceled vans would be a 2023 model year and are priced under a state of Nebraska contract for $53,356 per van. This is approximately a 40% increase per van, which reflects Ford no longer providing the level of government fleet discounts previously provided and inflation. The overall increase for all 29 vans is approximately 34%. We recommend approval of Anderson Ford's bid utilizing state of Nebraska contract pricing, as we do not believe pricing will improve, and the vans are required to be replaced due to their age and the high mileage, and they are no longer economical to maintain. We also believe that we will receive the vans early in 2023 if we order them now. Otherwise, we'd be looking at 2024 before we could receive similar vans.
Did you say 34%? 3-4?
Yes.
Okay.
3-4 for all 29. So from what
All
was
right.
presented to the board in January to today.
John, what time does payment occur for these? Do we pay up front, or do we put a deposit down? How long do we?
We'll pay for these in 2023 upon delivery.
So we don't put any money up in advance?
No, we do not. We issue the PO, and when we receive them, then we pay for them. So if we don't receive them, obviously we don't pay for them.
The state of Nebraska bid, is that a discount that we get going through the state? How does that work?
No, we don't get a discount through the state, but they go through a competitive bidding process just like we do, and so it saves us time and overheads on being able to utilize their contracts if they have vehicles and equipment that meet our needs. And so they go out and do a competitive bid just like we do, and many times, and you've seen it before, you know, that we'll use state of Nebraska contracts and that we will utilize those bids. All right, the final item is at the bottom of the page. We are recommending a 1-year extension with Todco Barricading for the joint contract with the City of Omaha for barricading services. Todco has agreed to maintain the same contract terms, conditions, and pricing, and the City of Omaha agrees to this extension. And that's all I have for you this morning, but be happy to answer any questions.
I've got a question, but it's not about this topic. It was about the one before. And Mark, I don't know who we would direct this to, but so in the new pump station that we just saw the pictures of, do we have someone there that, because it's all subcontractors that are doing the work, right? It's not M.U.D. employees that are doing the work?
Correct. To build the pump station?
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah. So who watches them like we have on other projects when we had either Q3 or if we have water infrastructure going in, we have people that we employ, field engineers, that oversee that process to make sure that what's being paid for is actually getting done before they put dirt back over the work. So who's watching this project? Because it's a big project, right?
That's a great question. We
Masania, Vice President of Engineering. We have an inspector out there full-time. We've got JEO, our consultant, that's reviewing all the work, making sure it's meeting the specs.
So not one of our people. It's an employee of JEO.
Yep, that's correct.
So I thought we always had one of our people, because that was the main objective, is that our employees were the ones that had eyes on any of these projects. I'm a little concerned because nothing against JEO, but our employees have more of a long-term investment than a subcontractor does. And again, it's not a subcontractor indictment. I'm just saying, over the course of time, it was my understanding that we always had our people watching over this to make sure that the stuff going, and Masa's got nothing to do with you either, or Mark. Just, I am concerned though, I'm addressing this to Mark Doyle, because I thought we had our people watching it. So if something comes up 5 years from now and they unearth where the work was, it doesn't come, I mean, that was the whole reason why we were told years ago when the contracting for gas infrastructure went out to Q3, we'd have our people there watching it. And I think this is important
Dave,
too.
that's a good question. My understanding, like on the infrastructure projects that we outsourced, you know, on the water side and everything, that we always had a safety inspector on site watching that to make sure that it was being done according to our standards. I was always under the impression we had a safety inspector on site, so good question.
Mark Doyle, President. I'm going to give you my perspective from a little bit of history after I make the comment that when it comes to gas infrastructure and water infrastructure, we do that. We know that. We do. That's our thing. When it came to some of the projects that I was involved in sitting in your chair or asking questions would have been the Skyline Reservoir, for example. We don't build reservoirs. So we had, while we probably had our staff on site at that time, that was a combination of, I don't know if it was HDR and Kirkham-Michael, don't quote me on that. And some things went wrong. We had the inlets that were offset. And that was the responsibility of the contracted inspector. I'm giving you a little hit off the cuff to help us figure out who's going to pay for that big mistake, and we worked through it. But Platte West would have been the same thing. We don't build water plants. We have to have someone overseeing at that time. Who was it, Tim? Contractor from St. Louis. Right. We had to have a third party inspecting because we don't build water plants. Doesn't mean we're not there. We're there. And I would say I'll follow this by saying maybe we need to be sure we are there somehow, but we also don't build pump stations. So there's some liability back on JEO. You're bringing up some good thoughts, and I have questions about warranties and all those sort of things. I'm not pushing aside the questions. There is a difference between what we do and what we don't do. I'm not sure what we can do to maybe answer the question in a better way.
Yeah, I would say there is a good district presence there, you know, as far as the hands-on as-builting, measuring, testing. That is someone else that's taking on that work. I see Steph here. She can provide better detail on this subject, and I'll step aside here. But yeah, there's district employees on site.
Does anyone remember the Skyline Reservoir issue? I don't remember who was here and who wasn't. I'm getting old.
I remember the issue.
Okay. Anybody on staff? Okay.
I appreciate that we've got people there, but I think our engineers, I mean, I know we don't build pump stations, but if you give somebody the drawings and say this is what's supposed to happen, I can't believe that our PEs couldn't look at that and say, okay, and then as the process goes, I just would feel better, and I'm just speaking for myself, if we had one of our people that was watching over this so that, I mean, the infamous change orders that come in on stuff, because it's easy for JEO or any I picked them because that's who's doing it. Any subcontractor to come in, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. I think our employees are more invested. And I'm not saying that we've got engineers that are sitting around with nothing to do. That's not what I'm saying. But personally, I would feel better if we had one of our people paying attention to this process, because this is a pump station that is going to be around for 50 years, we hope.
Well, to Tim's point, that's we have the bottom line responsibility. I mean, it's like anything else that we own. We're the ones people are going to come back to. If there's a problem, we're responsible. I totally agree with Dave. That's something that we should be hands-on and ensuring that it's done the way we expect it to be done. Simple as that.
I think Stephanie might have a little input here. Going to bail us out.
Was this question about specifically the West Dodge pump station?
Yes.
Well, it was about that, but it's also, in my head, more overarching than that. When we started with a lot of our infrastructure. So, yes, in a word, but in a larger sense, I would feel better on these projects if we had, I mean, it doesn't have to be a PE on every job, right? We use field engineers to oversee line and grade. I mean, that's what they're there for. They're supposed to make sure that the contractor's doing what we pay them for. Because I know we've had incidences before where we haven't, I mean, over the 20 years, haven't had an engineer, whether it's a field engineer or a PE, paying attention. There's a problem. They go out 5 years later, they unearth the ground. Oh, the company didn't do what they were supposed to do, and we didn't see it. We didn't catch it. And it's too late now because the company that we were dealing with, they don't exist anymore. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, and especially with the pump station that's going to help us alleviate, irrigation or not, some of our issues with pressure. I mean, I think this is as big as any infrastructure job.
No, I agree with that. It's a great question.
Starting with the West Dodge pump station, Olson and Associates designed the project, and so we hired Olson to also do the inspection of the contractor. I do have one engineer that coordinates all of that, so they are in constant contact with Olson, and they're out on the project pretty much every day. They're not out there the whole day. Olson is out there most of the time. So, and there are stipulations too, like the picture that I showed you where they're pouring the pump pads, all the rebar that goes in there, you actually have to be certified to inspect the rebar. We don't have folks that are certified in that, so that's one thing that it helps us using consultants to do that, because we don't, like we were talking about, we don't do this all the time. So while we have a consultant working on this and is doing the inspection, I have somebody involved, very heavily involved. They're at all the meetings, they're out on site. It's just they are not there 100% of the time.
Is there, on a job like this, is there a warranty period?
There is, yes. And I can speak for most of our consultants. I mean, we run that, we vet them through. We want to make sure that when we're hiring them for whatever that might be, that they're qualified. They've done it before. They can show us that they have that experience. And so say something would go wrong on the West Dodge Pump Station, we're going to knock on wood and hope that that doesn't happen. But say something does go wrong, Olson, and we value our relationship with Olson. They value our relationship with us. And so the experience that I've had with other consultants, haven't had any troubles really with Olson, but any troubles that we have had, they step up and they work through it with us, they fix it, all those kinds of things.
Is there any learning curve that we're missing by not having our people there, maybe more involved? Because I know Mark said we don't build pump stations, I get that, but do we have any, I mean, are we missing anything where if we had someone there, and I'm not suggesting that would be their full-time job, but is there a learning curve that we're not taking advantage of when we build one of these to expose our people to it?
And I would add that when you say not 100% of the time, maybe give a feel for how much time.
Like for our person?
Yeah.
I would say our person is out there a couple hours a day, and also along with that, we're sending most of our other engineers out. Hey, we're building a pump station. Let's go on tours. And so there's that plan that as the project goes along, that other folks are coming out, seeing what's going on. So there is that experience, and they've seen it, and it's not the first time they've seen it. The next time we do it 10 years down the road.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I just remember 20 years ago, we had people that worked here that they could tell you stuff that happened 20 or 30 or 40 years earlier and had a memory. I mean, it was that continuity of the whole process seemed like it lasted through, I mean, many years. We had guys that were here about as long as Jack's been on the board. So, I mean, tenured that had that experience. That I just want to make sure we don't give up or miss that.
Don't feel bad, Jack. I'm feeling more like you every day, which would be good. Yeah, we can maybe follow that up with a little more, if you want a little more of a comprehensive answer. Great discussion, though. I get the point. I 100% agree. You know, when we do work at the plants, it's more natural because we work in the plants. This is a brand new thing that, yeah.
I was just thinking about how we have people on other jobs, and maybe it's not an apples-to-apples comparison, but
yeah, it's close.
I like having our people there more than not, I guess, and I don't want to waste talent, but that's what.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Services and Extensions Vice President of Engineering, Masania, Main Extensions.
Good morning, Masania, Vice President, Engineering. This morning I will be speaking to you about the main extensions behind tab 9. This letter includes 1 water main extension and 2 gas main extensions for this month. The impact of the water main extension includes 70 residential lots being added to our expanding distribution system. The impacts from the gas main extensions include 490 residential lots being added to our growing distribution system. These projects are spread across our service territory and are included in subdivisions 2, 4, and 5. A couple comments on page 2. The water main extension for Bluebeam Prairie subdivision will be installed under our WCD water main installation policy. This is where the developer will be contracting the installation of the water main. An item of note on this one is that it is designed as PVC as the material. There are no district costs associated with this development. And finally, the developer has requested M.U.D. gas service. The other main extension I'd like to highlight is number 1 under gas mains for the Hill subdivision. This includes a district contribution of $22,256. This modest contribution is to oversize some 2-inch gas mains to 4-inch to better serve our future growth in the area. With that, if there are any, I'd take any comments or questions. Thank you.
Personnel, Vice President of Human Resources, Bonnie Savine, wage and/or salary increases and ramifications.
Good morning. Bonnie Savine, Vice President, Human Resources. I will recap employee counts for the end of July, the last 2 years. On July 31st of 2021, we had 810 regular full-time employees with 3 regular part-time employees, a total of 813. For July 31st of 22, we had 832 regular full-time employees with 3 regular part-time. So that gave us 835 regular employees. We also had 9 temporary part-time employees at the end of the month, which comprised of 5 temp part-timers and 4 interns. And we had 12 summer hires that continued at the end of that month as well.
Excuse me, Bonnie, I'm
Yes.
not sure if I heard it right. The regular full-time in 2022 is 822?
32. 832.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, a review of jobs actively in various stages of the job placement process include 8 jobs that are currently being reviewed through the requisition routing process for approval. 11 jobs that are posted right now, 3 are posted internally, and 8 are posted externally. We have 12 jobs that are in the application, review, or interview stages, and we have 2 jobs that have 2 selected candidates going through the hiring process right now. Okay, under tab 10, you will find the wage and/or salary increases and ratifications letter. Human Resources is recommending the Board of Directors approve wage or salary increases for 6 employees this month. 5 of those are OAC promotions, and 1 is an SPA promotion. There are no ratifications for August. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Judicial and Legislative, Governmental Affairs Attorney Rick Kubat will review the Lower Platte River Consortium interlocal agreement.
Not quite sure. I think Rick is here just in the interest of moving things along. Rick can certainly come in here and correct me if I say anything wrong. I just texted with him, but good morning, Mark Mendenhall, Senior Vice President, General Counsel, behind tab 11. I'll try to do my best Rick Kubat impersonation. Nope, here he is, the man of the hour. There you go.
Good morning. This interlocal agreement is a partnership with the Metropolitan Utilities District, Lincoln Water System, the Nebraska Department of Natural Resources, Papio, Missouri NRD, Lower Platte South, and Lower Platte NRDs. It was several years back, this group and the board signed up on a previous interlocal, reached out, and we got some significant grant funding to conduct various studies to assure an adequate water supply in the Lower Platte River. At that point in time, the district had a relatively nominal contribution for those studies. Those studies have been done. They were conducted by HDR. Where we're at now, this continuation of the interlocal agreement at this juncture, it's just a 1-year continuance. There's no request for district funding at this point in time. That being said, if various studies or other work needs to be done, it could be amended, and if there is a point where it's a request for a financial contribution, we'd come back to the board and request. All of this is continuing the interlocal agreement with for one more year, so that group can continue to meet and further investigate all the things necessary to make sure that that lower Platte River that primarily supplies Platte West, that we're cognizant of weather environments and that we're looking at potential projects upstream that could assure an adequate water supply. So this just continues the group so that it continues to meet and looks at the various studies and projects, but at this juncture, there's no request for any financial contribution.
Hey, Rick, are you the representative to this body when it convenes?
Yes.
Okay. And any idea how much money that the district has expended over the contract, the length of the contract?
My recollection, Director Bagley, is when we first started this, it was around, in give or take 5,000 or 10,000, it was around $25,000, which in the grand scheme of things was a pretty nice bargain, and all 6 parties contributed the same amount. The grant that we got for the studies was somewhere around $500,000 or $600,000. So all the parties contributed $20,000 to $25,000, and then there is about a $400,000 grant from, in combination from the Bureau of Reclamation and the Water Sustainability Fund.
Thanks, Rick.
Any other questions on that one? Thank you.
Senior Vice President and General Counsel Mark Mendenhall will review the amendment to the Field Club lease agreement.
All right, good morning, Mark Mendenhall, Senior Vice President, General Counsel. Behind tab 12, you'll see a recommendation to extend the existing lease with the Field Club of Omaha. Field Club of Omaha operates the Field Club golf course, approximately 36th and Woolworth at that intersection. The district owns approximately 13 acres of ground, which we utilize to operate the Field Club reservoir. Since 1952, the district has had a lease with the Field Club of Omaha. That lease has been amended a few times, 1993, 2014, and then the request today. The request today came about as a result of a request from Field Club. Really there, as I understand it, their intention is to have the M.U.D. lease and then the lease for the remaining property at the golf course, which is through Douglas County, match in terms of time, which helps their financing needs. So they came to us and asked if we would extend the existing lease from 2032, termination to 2062. Field Club has been, I think, a very good partner for the district in a variety of ways, and so certainly we were open to that. So behind my letter, you'll see the actual amendment, the third amendment to the lease. I would note in addition to the extension of the duration, the most substantive change that we negotiated is previously the lease had a flat $1,000 a month rental rate. We have negotiated a change, kind of a rent accelerator, if you will. So now every 3 years that rent will increase 5%. In addition, I think that we just strengthened some language from the original lease that assured that the district's use has priority over the Field Club's use. So with that, happy to answer any questions you may have.
Mark, a quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
The current lease through 2032, flat rate of $1,000.
Yes.
Now every 3 years, we're going to increase it by 5%. Does that mean between now and 2032, it goes up every 3 years? The rent does. Why did we agree to that? You know, when we had it locked in to 2032 at $1,000 a month.
Yes. So the accelerator will start effective 2022. It won't wait until 2032. Why did we agree in 2014? I was a part of those discussions, and frankly, I think that it just was never something that came about. I think that we were satisfied with the $1,000 a month that we were receiving, that we recognized that it's a unique piece of property. It's tough to find any comparables. I mean, if you've been around that area, you can appreciate it's an above-ground reservoir that is kind of buried, and so it's elevated. And so it's not like you can find a comparable piece of property that then you can build residential property on. So I think that we were satisfied with the $1,000. Since that time, in the back of my mind, I kept thinking to myself, well, if we ever get an opportunity, here's the opportunity. I'd like to see if we can't find some way to address, since this is such a long duration, to make sure that our ratepayers are receiving appropriate rental income from this property. So it just wasn't, it didn't come up, and so now I've kind of driven it to come up.
I can shed some light on that. At the time, the Field Club was in a precarious situation with their future and their funding. And there was a real possibility it was going to go away, which would destabilize that neighborhood. And we looked at it at the time was that's not something we would desire as good neighbors. Also, it should be pointed out that the Field Club maintains the property. They do all the lawn cutting, grass cutting. M.U.D. doesn't have to send somebody out there to maintain the property. I think it's a good and long-term investment, especially with this accelerator. I think that's fantastic. So not only does it help the ratepayers, but it stabilizes the neighborhood, which is a win-win for this district.
You said it very well. Yes, sir.
Director Kavanaugh, I want to add on that back in the 90s, it was zero. We didn't collect anything, and I worked with your dad on that, actually, and we thought it was appropriate that we got something, and we did try to recognize the maintenance value, which is really high, and there isn't any other use for that land, we don't think. And I want to also mention that this is a very good water customer. And if that went away, you know all the discussions of getting rid of Woolworth between that came and went, very controversial. We think it's a responsible way to not only maintain and keep the stability of that area, but keep a golf course there, which is a very good customer. And they've managed their water usage to the point where they use a lot less water than they used to. They have a management company now, and it's just a great customer and I think it's appropriate to put an escalator in, and they were open to it, and it's been a really good story.
Yep.
I might also add property values at that time were maybe not flat, but they certainly weren't going up and up like they are now. In fact, if anything, there might have been some decline in property value at the time. So
yeah, I would say
it was a good deal for us then, and this is a great deal for us now.
Yep.
I appreciate all the background, especially since it is a private club, and for ours ratepayer customer owners, it could sound a little odd. But I like the idea that I'm assuming we're going to keep up or maybe even exceed market rate increases with the 5% every 3 years. And I didn't know that they maintained it, and so that's net, that's energy and resources that we don't have to put out. I guess now I'm curious to see if they water on Tuesday, Thursday.
You know, that's a great question. Yeah, and I would say your comments drove us saying, no, we need some revenue for the property because it is a private club back in the 90s. That just makes sense. What's appropriate is up for debate. So, yeah, good question on the watering schedule.
And they use our water to water our property, and they pay for it.
I'd say yes.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much.
I always wonder how many people know they're teeing off on top of 25 million gallons of water. Yeah.
That was emptied a couple years ago, and I remember Mr. Frost and I went down that ladder to go into the empty reservoir for it.
That was really cool.
It was a really cool experience.
I wish I had my skateboard with me when we went down there.
Do any board members have any further comments? We now will go to the next agenda item for public comment. Are there any members of the public in attendance today who would like to address the board? If none, the committee meetings have now concluded. We will reconvene for the regular monthly board meetings in 10 minutes at 9:25.
Do what?
I would now like to call the meeting to order. I'm Jack Frost, Chairperson of the Metropolitan Utility District Board of Directors, and I'd like to welcome you all to the regular monthly board meeting this morning, August 3rd, 2022. This meeting is being live streamed from the boardroom at the M.U.D headquarters building located at 7350 World Communications Drive, and a recording of this meeting will be uploaded to the M.U.D website after the meeting's conclusion. Roll call.
Cook. Here. Friend.
Here.
Frost.
Here.
McGowan.
Here.
Howard. Here. Kavanaugh.
Here.
Bagley.
Here.
I would like to advise all those in attendance that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available on the wall in the back of the boardroom. And now for those who wish to participate, we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Approval of minutes for the committee meetings and regular board meeting for July 6, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Frost.
Here.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Capital Expenditures, Director Friend.
Thank you. Item number 5, capital expenditures discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Gina Langle dated July 26th.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Frost.
Aye.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Amendment number 1, professional engineering services for the water system master plan.
Item number 6, as stated by Mr. Frost, amendment number 1, discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Mike Koenig dated July 19th.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Frost.
Aye.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Acceptance of contracts and payment of final estimates, Director Friend.
Thank you. Also discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Stephanie Henn dated July 15th.
Second. Second. Oh.
I'll second.
Thank you.
I thought you were saying it.
Yeah, he's allowed to say.
Okay. Discussion. Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Frost.
Aye.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Bids on materials and contracts, Director Friend, as usual.
I think we're on number 9, Mr. Frost, services and extensions.
Main extensions, Director.
We're on 8.
Oh, we're on 8, then I got ahead of myself. My apologies.
Okay, well, I was right.
Yes, you were. No, I missed that one. My apologies. Bids on materials and contracts, item number 8, also discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Sherry Meisinger dated July 22nd.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Frost.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Main extensions, Director Friend.
Now we're at number 9, main extensions discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Masania dated July 26th.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Frost.
Aye.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Wage and/or salary increases and ratifications, Director Bagley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for approval of the wage and/or salary increases and ratifications as discussed in committee this morning and outlined in Ms. Savine's memo dated July 20th, 2022.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Frost.
Aye.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bigley.
Yes.
Lower Platte River Consortium Interlocal Agreement, Director Cook.
Thank you. I move we approve the proposed Lower Platte River Consortium interlocal agreement as presented in the committee meetings by Governmental Affairs Attorney Rick Kubat and as outlined in Mr. Mendenhall's letter to the committee dated July 27th, 2022.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Frost.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bigley.
Yes.
All right, this is 12, right?
Yes.
Director Cook.
Thank you. I move we approve the proposed Field Club lease agreement amendment as presented in the committee meetings by Mr. Mendenhall and is outlined in his letter to the committee dated July 26th, 2022.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Frost.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bigley.
Yes.
Other matters of district business for discussion. We will now hear from Vice President of Customer Experience, Stephanie Muller, to present a corporate communications commercial update.
Thank you. Good morning. Stephanie Mueller, Vice President Customer Experience. So this morning I am very excited to introduce you all to our new public awareness campaigns. So a lot of work and planning and time were put into these productions, and I hope that you all enjoy them as much as I do. So next slide, please, Jay. Thank you. The theme for our campaigns is every day, with an emphasis on our employees that are here to serve our community 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. It is our employees that make us stand out with their dedication and their knowledge to the task every day. The actors in these campaigns are employees, and I'm sure that you'll recognize a few of them. Our communications staff partnered with Clark Creative Group to assist in the concept, the writing, and the production of 4 30-second public service announcements that showcase our work that delivers life essential services to our customer owners. Professional filming occurred over 3 days in June with dozens of our employees participating in the production, performing the tasks they do every day. This brief video showcases some photos from the production that occurred that you're seeing right now on the screen. The airing for these campaigns is going to start on Monday, August 15th, with the majority of them being placed alongside local news programming. Next slide, please. So the first campaign that you're going to be seeing focuses on our high quality water. It gives the community confidence in our facilities and the multi-step processes that we use to treat and deliver the water that they use daily. Next slide.
Every day, Metropolitan Utilities District works to ensure your water is always on tap.
Our experts operate 3 water treatment facilities,
offering stability for you and future generations.
We test your water more than 1,000 times daily
throughout our entire service area.
That's ready whenever you need it.
So you can feel confident that the water in your home or business
is safe and reliable.
Thank you. Those are our employees. Yes.
They're going to get their
That's
SAG
correct.
cards.
That's correct.
That should
Very
count.
nice. So the second campaign focuses on the safety and the reliability of our natural gas system. It shows our employees follow a safety-first culture and ensures that we are pursuing new technologies while keeping costs affordable. Next slide, please.
Every day, Metropolitan Utilities District works to ensure natural gas is there when you need it.
Our experts maintain
and monitor our system,
making sure Omaha and surrounding communities
can safely access this vital service.
We're investing for the future,
increasing efficiency,
reliability,
and supporting cleaner alternatives.
all to keep people and industries growing
and moving forward with lower cost energy options.
So you can feel confident.
The natural gas you use is safe and reliable.
Great. Thank you.
Our employees are so talented and good-looking on top of it.
I think so too.
And, you know what I mean?
All right, next slide, please. The third campaign highlights our improvements to infrastructure. We're laying the foundation for the future to ensure efficiency and sustainability remain at the forefront of our decisions. Next slide.
Every day, Metropolitan Utilities District works to improve critical gas and water infrastructure.
we're building a stronger system
to ensure long-term safety and sustainability.
Investing in technology to better serve
customer owners and future generations.
Focusing on efficiency and affordability. We're working hard to minimize disruptions so you can feel confident.
The systems that deliver water and natural gas
to your home or business
are safe and reliable.
Okay. Yes. Next slide. And the final campaign that you're going to see rounds out all of the others and puts emphasis on our employees. They're the heart of our company every day. Next slide.
Every day, Metropolitan Utilities District works to provide safe, reliable, cost-effective natural gas and water.
You can depend on us.
We're proud to live and serve in our communities,
Responding around the clock.
working in all types of conditions.
using our skills to make the lives we share better.
It's a commitment we make to our customer owners.
So you can feel confident.
Our life essential resources will always be there.
for you and the people you care for most.
Yeah.
You had somebody in terrible weather in the trench. Yes.
I know. During the filming, it was very nice outside, though. So in conclusion, we want to thank each of you for supporting our mission. And we also want to thank all of our employees that bring their best self to work every day. I want to give a special thank you to Jay Roberts, the man behind the curtain or the door in this instance, for his work organizing, designing, and editing content along with our partner, Clark Creative Group. So personally, I'm very proud of what we do and of our employees. I hope after all of our employees see these campaigns, it makes them feel special and proud about what they do every day. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
I have just a comment. Could you give us an update, if you can, on how it went on the Memorial Park party with the water wagon out there? Sure. I don't know if the others here know, but I talked to Mark about it, and they were already on it. So that was very, very nice public relations tool to use on when it's hot like that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've done that actually the last several years. And we sit up at the top of the hill. So this year we talked about moving down more where like the food trucks are located, but it seemed like it was going to just be a better fit where we were at the top of the hill. But it went great, very well received. I think everyone is very appreciative. We also had our hydration station located down at the Jean Leahy Mall during the weekend that it opened. Very well received there, hot day. A lot of people use the hydration station, so that was a great event too.
That's great. I would think there'd be a lot of opportunities for that hydration station this time of year.
We're being a little cautious right now just because there's been a little bit of uptick in some of the COVID cases in the community. So we're being very cautious with that right now. But yes, you're right. Absolutely great opportunity.
Okay, so you monitor the COVID numbers and determine whether or not you're going to invite a bunch of people to run up to the hydration station.
Correct.
And, okay, thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Okay, great. Have a good day.
Like I said, they all look good, which is...
That was part of why we wanted to do it. Really good. Really good.
Do any board members have any further comments?
I just want to extend, on behalf of the board, our condolences to past president Tom Wirtz. His brother passed away. I don't know if anyone saw that in the paper. I happened to run into him a few days before. There is a service Friday morning. Just
Yeah, I
FYI.
talked, Mark Doyle, President, I've talked to Tom recently. We had some discussions internally about our COLA, so I had the chance to talk to him several times and knew that and expressed our condolences as well. So thank you for bringing that
brother
up.
was younger, actually.
Yeah. The other comment on the employees, for anyone that's been in front of the camera, to make it look that easy is really impressive, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean,
No one was stiff.
it was very natural looking, which I think when our employees, and thank you, Stephanie, for the presentation and your comments, I really don't need to say much more, but I think they speak from their heart because it is a special company and your support is always appreciated and they know the work they do is important, but it's nice to highlight it this way, so thank you for that.
Mark, will these ads, will they run on TV? I was just talking to Tanya, alongside the news, did she say, or what?
You know, I don't know that we want to call Steph back in, but there is a plan of all places, yes. That's,
Will it be on all channels?
Is that part of it? We'll get you the plan of what we're doing with them.
Yeah, I'd like to know so I
Yeah.
don't, I don't want to miss them, you know what I mean? Stephanie, I was just asking, is this going to be running alongside the news? And what stations cover this? Do we have to watch KETV or what's the
Great
plan?
question. So these are going to be airing from August 15th through the end of the year. And every single week, there's a little bit of a different plan. And we're spread across all the local news stations and a little bit of the cable network as well.
Good.
So, but there is a focus around the morning, the noon, the evening news programs, and even some of the Sunday news programs.
Great. Now, are these public service? Do we have to pay for these to be aired?
We do.
Okay.
We do.
Okay. Do any board members have further comments? Is there any member of the public present who would like to address the board? We will now go into closed session for the purpose of discussing litigation, real estate, and personnel matters. Do we have a motion?
I so move.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Cook,
Yes.
Friend,
Yes.
Frost,
Yes.
McGowan,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
go after now?
Fully agree.
Do you want me to close it?
Start with that.
Now,
Yes.
do we have a motion to return to open session?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Cook,
Yes.
Friend,
He's out.
Frost,
Here.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Public comment. Once again, is there any member of the public present who would like to address the board? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Cook,
Yes.
Frost,
Yes,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
we're adjourned.